I think one of the main issues nowadays is that when communication about meat is brought to the larger public, it is very often based on slogans, on distortions of factual information, and it is not only misleading, it is also confusing, and even to the point that it becomes dangerous for public health.
How do you think the meat industry should react to the scandals appear and to the media that is coming with a lot of fake news on the market regarding the food industry, especially on the meat industry?
Well, the meat industry as such has a difficult time communicating because first of all it's a scattered industry. There are no specific budgets for PR, so they have difficulties in communicating. And secondly, they also they're kind of contaminated because they have financial interests. So it is not very obvious for the meat industry to communicate. Communication has to come from somewhere else, I believe. Communication has to come from academia, from people that do the research, that look at the facts, interpret the facts, and come to sound conclusions and bring those conclusions to the public in a way that is based on state-of-the-art science rather than on hasty and sloppy interpretations.
Is the meat industry the real subject of the food industry, or people are afraid to speak about the real problems? For example, the waste of food in the world, or packaging that is destroying the nature. And as you told us today, meat industry is the scapegoat.
Yes, I do believe that meat is actually fulfilling the scapegoat function. It is interesting because from Neolithic times, meat has been very much involved into sacrifice. It's the thing. We sacrifice animals to take our sins, and it is a bit in the same logic today. We use meat to project our fears, and it's an easy way out conceptually. So we blame things that we are doing wrong, we blame it on meat. Whereas to be truthful, we would have to look at the real causes. There are plenty of causes, an exaggerated use of fossil fuels, food waste. There's so many things we can talk about and which would actually make a substantial difference, but we rather project it on something that is easy to contain and is also a very good carrier of symbolism. Meat, historically speaking, carries lots of symbolic connotations, and it makes the perfect substrate for projection.
How do you see the future of the meat industry?
I think people will continue eating meat. It depends on which perspective you see it. There's going to be changes in the Western world. Consumption may decline further. You will have meat alternatives coming up even more. But globally, we tend to have a very Western perspective. If you look to the global meat demand, that will rise. China steps in, especially for pork. South America steps in. So there are many countries that are now increasing their meat demand tremendously, whereas the West sees a decline, or rather a substitution more from red meat to poultry.
Is the balanced diet the real meaning of a healthy life? Because we speak about people eating meat, we speak about vegans, and the normality we believe in is the perfect diet should be a combined diet.
Well, we have metabolic flexibility to deal with several dietary inputs. I don't like too much the concept of a balanced diet, because at the end, what does it mean to be balanced? Balanced in what? In macronutrients and micronutrients, in plants versus animal. It's a very difficult concept. So balanced is not something that I like to use a lot. What I prefer is a species adapted diet. Our species is adapted to certain foods, and there's a variability within that, and I think we should consume those. It's not an easy concept either, but I think it's a better concept than balanced. So we should try to consume foods that are adapted to our metabolism, and that are known to have healthy effects. We also know which foods are bringing detrimental effects. There's quite a bit of evidence on that. Avoid those and take in the ones that are adapted to our physiology.